recorded. Thank Right guys, we're up to episode 12. Sorry for the delay in this one. Had an unforeseen trip to hospital. I'm fine. But let's get straight into it. Papa Bludgeon has his Caliburn here. He says he had to do some mods because he found out all Caliburns weren't the same. So he scoured the internet and found a 3D printed railgasm kit and a foregrip that fit, and also got a worker scar barrel and knuckle duster. Then he got Julian at Empire 3D to print an STL for a new stock he found, and he's really happy with that. And finally he printed off some double Picatinny clamps to secure my big popper, which you may remember from the previous movie. And a more ergonomic buttstock. So there you go. Caliburns have always looked a little bit spindly to me, like they'd snap in half as soon as you pump them, but their popularity seems to suggest otherwise. Yeah, very nice work, very nice. Okay, next up we have one from Anthony M. I think I reached out to him for this guy. I saw a post on Facebook and I was just so impressed with the colour scheme. So he kindly sent me some photos. And he says the colours were loosely inspired by Han Solo. And honestly, I don't know what that means. Maybe there's a comic book I don't know about, but fair enough. He used vinyl dye from metal cans, used the primer, and acrylic model paints were applied with the brush. In fact, you can see some of the paints in one of the photos. A lot of Citadel stuff there. A couple others I don't quite recognise. He says, from disassembly to reassembly, it took about 16 hours of work over 3 days. Nothing was done to performance as yet. He's currently wondering if he's going to install an extended brass barrel and or a heavier spring. But it's such a nice, neat, clean paint job. Nothing, of course, like mine, all my dirty, messy stuff, but it's very, very nice. If somebody could tell me it's not that paint style that's, mimics the comic books. I forget what that's called. I think I've got another one of those coming up. But yeah, this is really, really sharply done. Nice work, Anthony. Nice work. Alright guys, next up we've got NerfHerder, and he's got a lovely little Blood Angels inspired strife. And unfortunately he hasn't told me anything else about it, other than it's a Blood Angels inspired strife, but it looks very, very nice. I'm assuming that's an aftermarket mag, looks very cute. Nice dark red, very Blood Angel-y. The detail he's gone into with the mild weathering, dirtying down, the wear and tear especially. I do it a lot, but I'm not that good at it. Very nicely done. The strife's always a fun blaster to mod, especially if you can get a full auto kit. Yeah, really, really just straightforward, clean. I love the detail on the pistol grip here. He's really done well on this one. NerfHerder, in addition to a few other people, sent several blasters for this submission. What I'll be doing is keeping those back for future movies, just so I've got a bit of content. This weathering around the battery jam door is gorgeous. Really love the wear and tear on the metal he's done there. He's done it really, really well. Yeah, I'm going to have to pay a lot more attention to what I'm doing. Okay, that's NerfHerder's Blood Angels inspired strife. Next up we have Rocket Coffin Studios, and this is the alternate paint I was talking about, cell shading, made to look like it looks from a comic book. And it certainly does. It stands out. It's very sort of in your face. The fellow says it was a stock Nerf blaster, a Nerf Trailblazer. He made the grip bigger and changed its shape by cutting some pieces of EVA foam floor mats and hot gluing to the grip. Now I was quite interested in this little comment because I've always wondered how to do a grip, whether you use epoxy putty and whatever, because some of them are pretty terrible, as like the double strike for instance. And I reached out to him and he gave me some more information, which is quite nice. And he says a lot of people have issues using hot glue because they end up running a low temperature gun. He says he has a high temperature gun that runs at like 300 degrees. And low temperature guns run at about 120. So you need to have the glue and the gun really hot for this stuff to work and stick. And apparently even if you use the low temperature stuff and you have some success, even on a hot day you can get peeling. So something to look at there. But as for the blaster itself, it looks really interesting. As I said, the paint scheme really makes it stand out. It's over the top, in your face sort of thing. Just standard and stock, but it's a really interesting and unusual paint job in itself, probably because it's done the way it's done. But he's even sent some photos of how he actually increased the stock with the foam, and that was quite helpful. Also, you can see he's even done a helmet the same way, probably part of the same costume, cosplay maybe. Looks really, really good. Love the teeth on the front. And the way they just blend together and match. And his positioning of paint, the proportions, if you will, is very well done. It's really, really well balanced, especially like the orange back and the orange butt on the pistol grip. It'd go great with any cosplay. I don't know if it's a particular character or just something he's decided to create. But really well done. Okay, here we have another one from a past contributor, GaryA. This is his TKS6 Tactical Kinetic System. It is an extended barrel demolisher with a flashlight stuffed into a Nerf red dot sight with a couple of batteries in the demolisher battery cage. Cosmetics are a mix of Nerf and printed parts. This is running a 42mm Morpheus cage with Kraken motors and Cyclone wheels. 3S is housed in the back of the Hero style stock. LED lights in the barrel vents are wired to the motors so they come on when you rev the flywheels. That's pretty cool. And it has a voltmeter set in the back of the blaster behind the frosted plastic to reduce glare with an on-off switch on the side. Another nice little build, and as you can see we've started with photos of it under construction, and it looks like he's decided to change the butt towards the end. At the end, I like the first butt, especially the little shell off the crossbolt, but he's gone for something a bit different, give it a thumbhole stock, fair enough. And it looks very nice. It actually, the whole build reminds me of the weapon type known as a carbine, a shorter version of the normal battle rifle used for, you know, mounted troops, specialist troops, that sort of thing. It looks very nice and compact. Again, a lovely colour scheme, safe as well. Got plenty of reds and oranges on there, so nobody can mistake it for a war weapon. Really, really well done, well executed. He's a really good builder. Really takes his time and makes good decisions on what he's going to cut, where he's going to cut, and how he's going to put things together. Really well done, Gary. Really well done. Looking forward to the next one. Next up, we've got JeremyZ, and obviously Jeremy has gone completely nuts because this thing is wild. It's all over the place with bits and pieces. He says it's a two-stage Raven inspired by the Borderlands game, I believe. It is a project that had been started by a local Nerf club member who gifted it to me complete. It is a Raven that was stuffed inside a Nerf Zeus and a Nerf Apollo. Then I added parts from a Mega Magnus as well as a modulus barrel attachment. I also added a top rail from a Longshot. A few 3D printed parts for a Zeus as well. It runs on 2S and has a Honey Badge motors in the front cage and stock demolisher motors in the 3D printed Raven cage. So it's pretty involved, this thing. Here's a shot of the internals. I mean, just to go to this length to get something that looks like something out of the game. And he sent me a picture of the original artwork, and you can see here that it's very well, a very good match. But I even say that the original artist had some influence from the Longshot with that handle, and even the French Clarion, that little brown wedge-shaped piece in the butt. But Jeremy's done a really good interpretation. It looks really, really wild. I quite like the square blockiness of it, very militaristic and very utilitarian. And of course, I always like bullpups, you know. I'm a sucker for them. But well done, Jeremy. I'm pretty impressed by this one. Well done, mate. Right, guys, here's one from Jericho Digital Art. And this is a bit different than normal. It's 4 different images of 4 different blasters this fellow's built. The first is a Strife, of course, with a front end off, I believe it's one of the accessories off the Modulus line. He seems to have borrowed heavily from the Modulus line for these builds. Looks very nice, very neat and straightforward. I quite like it. This one, I believe, is a Mediator, and to me, it's got a really unusual body shape. And I don't know whether that's from the original blaster from the line or it's the work he's done on it, but it does look unusual. Straightforward, clean paint jobs, very nicely done, executed. They're for Cyberpunk. Apparently he plays some game, and he's created a character that uses one of the guns, the Strife, I believe. This one, the Regulator, again, unusual. I had to look it up to find it, even though I've only just got one in one of the bundles I've bought. I just could not recognise it. Very nicely done. And the final one is Hyperfire, which is done again in greys and slates, and very nicely, cleanly painted, well executed, very little weathering, but everybody has their own specific look, so that's not an issue. Well done, and apparently he'll be sending us bundles in the future of different paint jobs. And here we have one from Richard A. I'm pretty sure he's from England because he says, "Hello mate, here's a few shots of my Nerf Longshot build. It's for a close-sight LARP game, so no need for an orange tip. It had the AR removed and a 14 kilogram spring squeezed in, and is waiting on brass parts. At the moment it shoots around 90 FPS. The sight was pulled from a cheapo eBay gun, and I think I've got one of those somewhere. It's non-functional," he says, "but it fits the profile. And the paint job is base blue and black with an overpaint, or I'm assuming he means like a dry brush of Payne's grey on blue to bring out some of the contrast. And metal parts are rub and buff, lightly applied over many times to get a brush steel look." Now that's an idea I'm going to have to try. And then a little bit of brown and black acrylic just for weathering. It's really nice just to see a straightforward, simple paint job on something. Of course, not having an orange tip is a plus for me. I'm not into that sort of thing, but you know, if you're playing somewhere where it's safe and it's closed, you're fine. Just keep it in a bag until you get to the field. No need to be silly and attract attention to yourself. But this looks really, really good. Very nicely done. Well done, mate. Well done. Right, this one's from Roland D, and it's a reimagined Falsonfire, as he says. Now, I have absolutely no information on this, except he sent me a link to a video, which I'll put down below. I've just had a quick look at it, and there's not much there. It's just a soundtrack and film of the blaster. So he's done a lot of work on it, apparently, but knowing what the actual real Falsonfire looks like, he's done a hell of a lot of work on it. But I can't pass on any information at all. So click the link, go and look at the movie if you're interested in this one. Right, and our final one today is another one from Yann R, a modder I aspire to be as good as. And this is a Kang SMG from Cyberpunk 2077. It's built on a rapid strike, and these first few images give you a really good idea of how the progress goes, how he builds it up, and the levels of detail he adds from the shapes, the housings, the markings, the attachments, scopes, muzzles, then all the dirting and weathering. I know it can be sometimes disheartening when you're getting through a project and you haven't got to the paint yet, because the paint's what really pulls these things together. But this is a beautiful piece. The weathering is wonderful, so dirty and so grubby, you know, like it's a prop from the original Aliens movie. He just does some wonderful, wonderful work. Very, very impressed by this. Well done, mate. Well done. I hope I can be as good as you one day. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Some of you sent multiple entries in. They'll be in future movies, just spreading them out a bit. That's about it for me. Now, see you later. So, see you later, and looking forward to future submissions. Bye now.